Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today we'll be continuing What If Kenny Survived with part 3 that'll take us into Season 4. In the last two parts, we covered the changes that happened in Season 3, which ended up being pretty drastic, as some characters who couldn't be saved were able to be saved depending on your choices. If you haven't already seen parts 1 and 2, I highly suggest you do. I'll link them in the comments section, and probably in the description too. As I said though, this will be going into the final season, and so I don't want to waste anyone's time, so if you like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe as I really appreciate it and it helps the channel grow. As always, be sure to join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. Alright, so let's get straight into Season 4. Kenny is driving the car instead of Clem at the beginning, as they don't want a repeat of what happened last time they let her drive. So he'll be the primary driver and she'll take over whenever she can. Clementine would ask AJ what he's doing, and he'd still be pretending they had bullets. I don't think Kenny being there would really change their weapons situation. One thing I do want to note about AJ here is that he is a lot less paranoid due to both Kenny and Clem working together to protect him. He feels a lot safer, however, he still knows how to pull his own weight. Eventually, they stop at the train station like in canon, and still come across the Walker couple inside. Now here's where a crucial question comes in. With Kenny guiding them, how much would Clem be in control? Well, I think that Kenny would allow Clem to guide AJ however she saw fit, with him pitching in his opinion just to help her think. We already saw proof of this in The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, in which flashbacks show that Kenny believes Clem is, and I quote, the only mama he's got. This is after you tell him that he has helped keep AJ safe too, so it shows that he believes she is mature enough to take care of AJ. And so, when confronted with situations like this one, Kenny will simply state what he thinks they should do, and allow for Clem to choose for herself and AJ. Anyway, it comes down to killing the Walker couple, or having AJ sneak in through a small hole. Kenny will obviously say that he thinks they should just kill them, as it'd be much easier and wouldn't risk AJ's life. In Season 1, if Kenny or Lee shot Duck, he will say that it's better than just letting them sit there and rot. If they left Duck in the woods, then he wouldn't add this dialogue. Either way, they get the door open and find all the food, but it is still trapped with a grenade. The three of them quickly begin escaping and get to the car, as the walkers begin to surround them. It is much less of a close call, as Kenny is in the back seat trying to stop them from getting in. Clem still ends up crashing though, and some people come rescue them. Eventually, Clementine wakes up and begins searching around just like in canon. She finds Tennessee and Marlon, and they go to find Kenny and AJ. Marlon also gives Clem the rundown of the school and that he's the leader. Clementine goes into the piano room, where he finds Kenny and AJ standing next to Ruby as they listen to Lewis's music. As I said before, AJ is nowhere near as paranoid and is much less traumatized, and thusly doesn't have the whole don't sneak up on me thing, so his relationship with Ruby is just fine. Once Clem walks in, AJ hugs her and then tells her about Lewis's piano playing, and that Kenny said that not all loud sounds are bad. Kenny tells Lewis that it's gonna start getting bad if he doesn't switch up the song, and that's when he begins playing Oh My Darling Clementine. So with that, the rest of the crew then go out to help the rest of the group get back to the school. Kenny stays behind with AJ while Clem goes out. They come back and Kenny meets Marlon's dog Rosie and absolutely loves her. Clem, however, is not so thrilled due to what happened to her in Season 2. Later that night, dinner happens, and afterward, Kenny goes and sits with AJ and Ten, while Clem plays cards with the rest of the group. This would go about the same, and after that, Clem would check up on the two. Kenny would agree with Ten's drawing, and would already have himself and AJ in it. This is because, as he states in Season 1, he is a Christian man.
I am a Christian man.
In the morning, Clementine goes along with AJ and Kenny to talk to Marlon about staying. Marlon thinks that they should stay if they can help out. Oh yeah, also AJ still takes Ten's toy, and you can choose whether or not he should give it back. Kenny agrees with you if you tell him to give it back though. Clementine picks whether she wants to go with Lewis and Aasim or Brody and Violet. Marlon then asks her a serious question. Marlon then asks her a serious question. He asks if Kenny has ever done anything bad before. Marlon prefaces this by saying he means like real bad. Like obviously they've all done bad things, but he means like really bad. Here you can say yes or no. If you say yes, then he will ask you, like what? And you will have the options to tell him about Jane, Larry, or Carver. Your fourth option would be to stay silent. If you stay silent after saying yes, or say no initially, Marlon will be suspicious and tell you to bring Kenny with you. However, if you tell him about Jane, Larry, or Carver, he will believe Clem and trust her more, opting for them to split up. So during these missions, whoever Kenny goes with, he begins to dislike. He thinks Lewis is wasting time, and that it would be much easier if he helped. On the other hand, Violet is rude and angsty for no reason. Eventually though, the group goes back to the train station Kenny, Clem, and AJ were at the day before. Lewis does his whole distraction, and Violet keeps watch while Clem, AJ, and Kenny sneak in. AJ climbs into the hatch and hands the food to Clementine so she can put it in bags, while Kenny keeps watch. However, someone snuck in. It was a man with a gun. He aimed said gun at Kenny and told them to give him some of the food. Kenny would then aim his gun as well, and Clem would tell AJ to give her his. The three now all had guns pointed, as AJ continued to place food next to the bags. The man, whose name is Abel, offered to leave peacefully so long as he gets some food. Kenny of course rejects this idea, and so the scuffle continues. As AJ is talking, Violet sneaks up behind him and looks at Clem, suggesting she needs a signal for what to do. Clem can nod or shake her head. If she nods or does nothing, Violet will use her knife and cut Abel's shoulder. Kenny will then knock the gun out of his hand and tell him to leave. Abel agrees to leave, and he does so, but also screaming right before he left to attract the walkers to them. If Clem shakes her head, Violet will back up and go back to watching the walkers. Abel continues asking for food, and Clementine can either continue aiming the gun and getting closer, or agree to give him food. If you choose to aim the gun, he will eventually leave, but not before firing his gun at the ground to attract the walkers. However, if you give him food, he will leave peacefully. No matter which of the three outcomes you get, the group will finish packing the food and leave back to the school. Upon arrival, Brody is angry about them leaving the safe zone and seeing someone. Marlon appreciates the help from Kenny and Clem, but told them not to go out past the safe zone again. Kenny feels a bit underappreciated, but is willing to let it go as it isn't that big of a deal. Later that night, the three awake to voices in the pipes. Clementine goes down, and Kenny and AJ both wait there. Clem would then find out about Marlon giving up 10 sisters, as well as planning to give the 3 of them away too. Marlon then accidentally kills Brody and tells the others that Clem did it. She however escapes and exposes Marlon just like in canon. Throughout the whole thing, AJ has his gun trained on him, and eventually gets it taken by Marlon. However, once Clementine knocks it out of his hand or forces him to give up, he drops the gun, and AJ still shoots. That marks the end of episode 1. Let's move on into episode 2. Everyone is angry at Kenny, Clementine, and AJ for Marlon's death, and so the 3 go back to bed. In the morning, Clem is awoken to coffee from Kenny, and AJ asks about what he did. In his mind, he was just protecting Clem. However, Kenny saw this differently. He understood why AJ would think this, but by that point, there was no reason to shoot him. Clementine can protest against Kenny, saying that he was justified, or can agree and say that he needs to atone. Kenny, however, disagrees with both options, telling AJ to just say whatever he can to get back in good with the group. They don't want to be forced to leave, as it seemed like a good place and they were tired of running. Depending on what you told him, he will tell everyone at the funeral that he wants to atone or that he was justified. The group and Kenny will all have different dialogue accordingly. However, if you stayed silent upon choosing whether he was justified or needs to atone, he will simply say that he didn't mean to pull the trigger, following Kenny's idea of just saying whatever he can to get him out of the situation. The group then decides to put it to a vote, and by the end, the 3 are voted out. Kenny is angry about this and pleads with Violet to do more, but she says that she did the best she could, and says that she didn't want them to leave, but this is what the group decided. Her and Lewis then escort the three out, and Kenny takes the gun from AJ instead of Lewis. Two then leave the three and begin to head back. As the three walk, Kenny tells AJ that he messed up this time, and that he'd need to do better if they ever found a new group. He then states that he wishes Lee was here, and that he'd know how to help AJ get on the right path. Clementine can say that she also wishes Lee was here, that her and Kenny are the best they can do in reality, or that she thinks she's done a decent job in place of Lee. All of these options, including silence, would just lead to something along the lines of, maybe he wouldn't have shot that boy. Or, if that were the case, he wouldn't have shot that boy if you chose to say he did a decent job. AJ makes it clear that he's sorry and won't do it again, and then the three hear a gunshot. They hide and see the man from the train station, Abel. Kenny surprise attacks him and jumps on top of him, holding him to the ground. Clem and AJ both have their weapons aimed at Abel, but Clem is then kicked to the ground as well. As she gets up, she sees AJ's gun being taken, and Kenny looking at the person who kicked her. Abel aims his shotgun at Kenny while getting up, asking, "What are we gonna do with him now, Lily?" Kenny then realizes, "Lily?" Clem gets up and walks beside him and sees her face. "Clementine?" Lily asks. And that is where we'll leave this part. We cut pretty abruptly into episode 2, but that's just because I want to space the final season out into 3 parts, because it is pretty long. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this part, and check out the next one, which is going to be covering the rest of episode 2, and probably half of episode 3. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video, and subscribe so you can see more if you haven't already. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, have a great day.